Good evening, one and all. This is Vishnu from Metas Photo Bloggers, working here as campus ambassador. And today we have all gathered here for another wonderful, fantastic session in the series of MPB members talk. And in that series, we are with the fourth member, Mr. Ramana Appu. He is doing his biotech, and he is a wildlife photographer. You get the combination right, biotech and a wildlife photographer. And he is here as an MPB camp member, and he'll be sharing all his travel experiences and his photography, like how he learned and what is the process he has adapted, and his projects about hornbills, right?
Yeah,
About yeah, great. We'll have a discussion on that. I'm very much looking forward about to learn about hornbills and your upcoming project on that. And the session will be very much interesting. And let me welcome my guest and all the audience and for this MBA members talk show. Thank you, Ramana, for joining us today.
yeah, Vishnu. Thank you for a great intro of mine.
Sure,
Hi,
Ramana. Yeah, please go on.
hi guys. Myself Ramana. I am doing my biotechnology undergraduate at Coimbatore.
Mhm.
Yeah, Vishnu.
Great. Yeah, great. Tell us about your starting stages of your photography. So, you're basically a wildlife photographer, right?
Yeah,
So when did you start your photography? And you're currently pursuing your second year of biotech. And when did you start your photography? Like in your school?
yeah. I started. I had a great love for wildlife
Okay.
during my childhood. I studied in a school where my correspondent is a great wildlife photographer.
Hmm. Lucky.
She's every year during January, Wildlife Week is celebrated. At that time, her photographs are displayed there. I got inspired from that. Uh, just thinking of
Okay.
yes, we have to click like this. During my 10th leave, yes, after completing my 10th standard, I just went to Bandipur. Yes, Bandipur, Mudumalai, like that. I was touring.
Tiger
Just
Reserve Centers.
hello.
Tiger Reserve Centers, right? Bandipur.
Yes, Bandipur is a
Okay.
tiger reserve.
Hmm.
Just as a family trip. I had a Nikon B600 at that time,
Okay.
compact camera. Just was clicking around, and I will share that picture, that tiger picture. It's my first tiger. I looked at it. Um, I felt something with love with that animals,
Okay.
especially in clicking. That
Hmm. Great.
hello.
Actually, so first of all, you went on a tour with Bandipur, and
Yeah,
then you took random shots over the tigers there,
random
and
shots.
this
Yes.
love, yeah, and this love started to evolve. So that's how you started your photography.
Yeah, photography started from there, but from
Hmm.
the childhood I had a great love for wildlife.
Okay.
If I travel 10 to 15 kilometers from my home, it's a forest for me. It's the
Hmm.
southern end of the Annamalai Tiger Reserve. So I
What's your
used to,
exact location at Coimbatore?
I'm Udumalpet.
Or
It's
Malpet. Okay, so it's just 20
around,
kilometers away from Anamalai.
uh, yeah, my home is just 20 kilometers from Annamalai Tiger Reserve.
Hmm. So you
So
often go there like weekend
yeah,
plans, photo shoots and all.
yeah, sure.
Mhm.
It's a
So like you get a lot of opportunity to capture tigers and elephants there.
yeah, we can click a lot of elephants, but big cats, it's a doubt.
Hmm.
We need a lot of luck, not a
Lot
little
of
bit
luck.
luck, lot of luck.
Hmm. And we must be prepared for that right moment as well, right? Like
Yeah,
when we
summers are
spot
great for
that.
clicking. Summers are great for clicking elephants,
Okay.
and winters are great for birds. There,
Hmm. When can we find big cats there?
big cats. It depends on the luck.
Probability of finding.
Probability of finding, it's a huge area, and you can you can find them only in the core zone where people are not allowed.
Okay.
Mm. I have seen
Great.
only two leopards till now.
Hmm.
In the past years, about 5 to 7 years, I have seen only two leopards there. It depends on the luck.
Hmm. Okay, so you were telling about your like wildlife photo walks and all, right? Like, so the summer season will go and capture the elephants, and winter season will go and capture the birds, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about those experiences. Like, how will you plan your walk there, and how will you move? What are the gadgets you take along you, and something like that.
Yeah, if I plan for a new place, I'll plan for minimum 2 days. First day, I will go with my binos and
Hmm.
observe what are birds I can see there.
Okay.
And the very next day morning, I take my camera and go there and click.
Hmm.
That's my usual method of clicking. And I used to check eBirds update every day for that place.
Okay.
If I plan for a place, I start planning before a month.
Hmm.
I used to check the daily updates from the eBird. It's in
Okay.
portal where people upload their sightings.
Hmm.
I'll be telling about it.
Okay. Great. Great.
Okay.
Great.
Hmm.
So I think we can go with Tamil. Like, is anyone other than Ankita Savla, ma'am, anyone other than who doesn't understand Tamil here? If at all you're there, okay, Shivani, fine, done, take it. Not issue. We'll continue with English.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were discussing about bird watching, right? Like, what
Yeah.
is what is the exact procedure or method you follow while bird watching?
Bird watching. Just we all need is interest and patience.
Hmm.
Basic need is a binocular,
Okay.
and if you are basic need a binocular and little knowledge about birds.
Hmm.
That's
So,
what.
what are the common bird sightings in your area? Like, or else we can take it as an common Tamil Nadu itself.
In Tamil Nadu, we have about 330 species of birds.
Okay.
The
Seasonal,
play
or it stays here in Tamil Nadu?
resident birds around 300. Yeah,
Okay.
around 300. If we include migratory birds, it's around 400.
Hmm. Okay. So it's 300 plus 400.
300, including migratory birds, it's 400.
Including 400. Okay. So we can see all the 300 Tamil Nadu in every season of time. And these 100 birds are seasonal. They come and they journey, they stay and they go away, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
these migratory birds come and stay. Yeah, Chennai is a great place to find them. You can find
Hmm.
them then Pallikarnai, Solingnallur.
Palikanai Marshland, yeah.
Yeah,
We
the
conducted photo walk last time over there at Palikanai Marshland. I don't know how many people attended from this group, but it was fantastic there because we had a photo walk for around 2 hours, like 2-3 hours. We had women only photo walk at Palikanai also. That also was great. So it's great there.
Yeah, the birds in
So,
Pallikarnai are more brave than the birds here. It
mhm.
has adapted to something like people there.
Okay.
Even if you approach them very close, it stays there till if you can approach there 10 meters before them, it's
Hmm.
they won't fly. But here, if you approach them before 50 meters, they fly away. That's the difference here and there. They
Okay. So
have
birds are adapted
they have adapted
situation.
to live there.
That's great. That's great.
That's great. Even Pallikarnai can find about 200 species of birds.
Hmm. Point to be noted from everyone from Chennai. You can know this, like Palikanai marshland, we can find 200 plus species of birds. But we need patience, right? But we need patience and a
Patience is
bit
the
of
major
luck.
key.
Hmm. Patience is the basic key. So the basic procedure will be like on the day one, you will go and watch birds, use your binoculars. On day two, you go and shoot.
Yeah.
Okay. So like before that, before you, is it necessary? It is mandatory to know about the bird's behavior. Like when does a bird go for its prey, or how fast does a bird fly? In order to keep a perfect shutter speed to capture the perfect moment.
Yeah, the bird knowledge is very much. Then only we can
Okay.
kick a good shot.
Hmm. So
Um,
can you give us some tips on a specific bird?
Specific bird. For example, we can take egrets,
Okay.
egrets and cormorants. The when cormorants go for hunt, they go inside the water
Okay.
and they come out. After we can get a nice pose. They show their wings. They open up their wings.
Okay.
You can see them basking. You can see them basking all the places.
Mm.
They are very common birds.
Great. So it is important to know the bird's behavior, right?
Yeah, if you know
So
the bird's behavior, you can get some good shots.
Great. What is a common bird you sight at Palikanai marshland? And any tips to capture that particular bird in action?
Palikanai marshland. I have seen some ducks. Duck species. I have with Palikanai before 2 years.
Okay.
At that time, I saw some duck species. I was just amazed how these ducks are coming this such close to people. More than observing them, I was just amazed. Where the ducks in my places nearby, same, I find them in my nearby places. They used to fly away. If they see people, they used to fly away. That was I was amazed. Yeah, flamingos you can get there a lot.
Flamingos. Great. I have seen photographs of flamingos like catching its prey.
Yeah,
from Pulikete, exactly. Well said.
Exactly. They used to skim the water. You can see them skimming the water with their mouth.
Exactly. I've seen photos like the sun rays falls over the water and flamingos standing. Have you seen like photos like that?
Yeah, like I have seen a lot. Especially people shooting at Ran of Kutch, they click like this a lot. Even raptors, they used to click with the sun at the background.
Actually, those pictures are like mesmerizing. Like it's like
it's an open area. We can get such a good shot.
Great. So let us move on to your learning procedure. Like, how did you? We have heard about how did you start photography, and we would like to know more about how did you evolve in photography. What are your learning process? How did you enhance your skills over bird photography?
Initially, I used a compact camera, Nikon D600.
Okay.
I just randomly clicked in that. Most of the photos were out of focus. The foreground would be leaves in the foreground would be focused, and the bird or animal would have been out of focus. Then I used slowly learnt by trial and error method.
Okay. So trial and error method. Okay.
Yeah, by trial and error from YouTube videos. That's what I learned.
Okay. So, like, what exactly you mean by trial and error? You just go and shoot a particular bird, or you shoot any random bird and you do that?
While learning, I was shooting random birds initially.
Okay.
Then I understood that I should practice on a same subject. If you find egrets, if you don't disturb them, they will be standing at the same place and moving in a straight line.
Okay.
Then I used to change the settings, change the autofocus points, and learned. I learned by that method.
Okay, that's great. Like you said about your YouTube tutorials point where you learned and gained some knowledge about birds. Can you suggest few areas where people can learn about birds?
Birds. You can learn from the book Birds of Indian Subcontinent. It's a very good book.
Birds of Indian Subcontinent.
And let me show that. Let me show another book I have.
Okay. Sure, okay.
Yeah, this is that book. Are you able to see it?
Yes, we could.
This is a photographic field guide of wildlife of South India. In this book, we have all the locations where we can find that. If you are clicking Hornbills, the location is given that it's given Valpare, Anamalai Tiger Reserve. If you are to click tigers, and they would have given the location Kabini, Bandipur Tiger Reserve. You can find all the details for mammals, birds, insects, reptiles. It's a very good guide.
Okay.
Both book knowledge and field knowledge is must.
So it's not only about book. We must analyze the. We must gain the knowledge from book,
from the
and we
field.
must
Yeah,
analyze from this field as well.
yeah,
Great. Like all these are similar. Like what you gain from book and the birds behavior are similar, or do they differ?
almost 70% similar.
70%. So there's a 30% gap over there.
Yeah, we can if we see in the book we can find it photograph, but we see in the field we would be thinking what bird is this. We would be if it's the first time it's a lifer for us, we'd be thinking what bird is this. Might be this or that. That confusion would lead to confusions.
Great. So, what are the precautionary measures you would suggest, like when going for a bird photography shoot?
Protection of gears is must. Take a towel or something for because it's if most probably we are going to the rainforest.
Okay.
Western Ghats are rainforest. We cannot predict the climate. It rains often.
Okay.
It rain often. So that protection gears for our camera. Then well camouflaged dresses. And
why is that camouflage?
We can merge it surroundings.
Okay, so that the birds don't get distracted from.
If we
okay.
If we are green or brown, we would be like merging with surroundings. But if
okay.
It is a red, if we wear something like red color, yellow, we would be standing out. Everyone can see us easily. So that camouflage is best.
Okay. So this pushes me to ask you a question that are there any particular colors that birds get attracted to?
There is no particular colors, but bright colors can distract them.
Bright colors will distract them. So there is no color to attract birds or something?
No colors to attract them. Something like flowers, nectar, scents, that may attract them.
Okay. And do you use something like that?
No, I don't use like that. It's prohibited in India.
Okay. We have seen in movies like they use small kind of piping instrument to call off the birds. What is it exactly?
It's like you have nectar in that bottles. You can see them in Costa Rica. People who photographs in Costa Rica, you can find lot of videos in Instagram using like the nectar tubes.
Okay.
To attract the birds. In India, using calls of the birds or using like something like this nectar tubes is prohibited.
So we must get into a natural mode of the bird to capture.
Yeah, we should not disturb them.
That's a primary factor.
Yeah, right? Birds should not be disturbed.
Great. Have you ever had an incident where you underwent a bird attack or something like that?
Not a bird attack, but they have given warning to their groups.
Okay, that's interesting. How do you know?
If you take, let me come with common birds. Lapping. If you enter the lake, you will hear a sound like a tick tick. It alerts all the birds there. Okay. Someone is entering into our territory like that. You can find them very often giving sounds for unwanted reasons. Even they disturb our subjects also.
Okay.
They are kind of irritating birds. Lappings are.
Great. So is this the code word common for all different species of bird?
Sorry.
The first two sounds like just to warn other birds.
Yeah, all the birds
for all species.
Yeah, they get alerts.
Great. So let's move on to talk about your love on hornbills. Tell us about that. Why specifically hornbill?
Yeah, let me tell about it. I saw hornbill while I was studying 7th standard. It is almost 7 to 8 years back.
Hmm.
I was just looking for something, some birds there.
Okay.
I hear a sound, something like exactly we can say that sound of a helicopter.
Hmm.
The flap, the wing flap of this, the wing flap sounds like a sound of the helicopter. Just two hornbills were going above my head.
Okay.
At that moment, I was wondering what bird is that. Something flying overhead. Why the sound is like this?
Okay.
From that moment, whenever I go to any forest, I would look for hornbill. Even I know there is no hornbill there.
Hmm.
You can take some dry forest. There is no chance for hornbills because hornbill lives in solar forest. But I would expect if you see a hornbill here, it would be great. I am from that moment. That moment changed my mind. From that moment, I used to travel often to Valparaiso see hornbills.
Hmm.
I would say the more addicted to that sound, that wing flap sound.
Okay. So, what is the average height of a hornbill? Like, as you mentioned that it flew just above your head. I really doubt whether what is the height, that average height it travels at.
I was standing in a it's like a steep V-shaped valley.
Okay.
I was standing about a inner edge of the valley.
Hmm.
It was flying from this mountain to that another mountain.
Okay.
At that time, I saw my first hornbill. Now I have seen about more than 600 individual hornbills. South India. 600 great Indian hornbills.
Great Indian hornbills. Okay. So, it is founded all over India, or it's specific for states?
There are 9 different species of hornbills in India. In South India, we can find almost 4 different types.
Okay.
Great Indian hornbill, Malabar pied hornbill, Malabar grey hornbill, and grey hornbill.
Okay. Where do we find Malabar hornbills? Is it something native to Kerala? Or?
Pied hornbill, we can find them in best place to find is Dandeli in Karnataka. You can find everywhere, but you can find them in Karnataka a lot. That Dandeli, that place in Dandeli.
Okay. And about Malabar hornbills?
Malabar hornbills, yeah, this I was Malabar pied hornbill. This is the okay. Grey hornbills you can find everywhere. You can find in cities. People in Delhi see them in their cities.
In Delhi?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Grey
interesting.
hornbill.
Like,
It's grey hornbill looks like similar to hello.
yeah,
Am
we
I
could hear you. Yes, yes.
Grey hornbill looks similar to a crow. You can some of my friends recently saw them in Chennai a few months back ago.
Mm-hmm. That's
That
why it
grey
lives in Delhi.
Yeah, you can
That's
find
sarcasm.
grey hornbill almost in all places. But you have to, if you see them in play, you think them as a crow because they look like same color, grey color.
Even the size as well?
No,
Same.
it varies. It varies.
It varies. Oh,
It varies.
that's great. That's great. So, you are doing a project, right? Like, you wanted to capture all the hornbills of India.
Yeah. Especially the North Andaman hornbills. It's endemic to Andaman.
Hmm.
Getting permission to shoot there is itself a difficult task. Getting permission from the government itself.
Mm-hmm.
Even now, it's very difficult to shoot in Valparai also.
Do we need permission to shoot from Valparai? Like,
Yeah.
where do you go at exactly at Valparai? You go in the resort forest zone and all?
No, in Valparai, we have some particular spots. We had some particular spots due to misuses. Now they are not allowing that.
Okay.
Just we had first they allowed us instead tea plantations to go and shoot, but now they are not allowing. Just you had to wait at the outside the tea plantations, wait the hornbills to come, and then only we can shoot it.
Okay, so is there a proper procedure if I want to go to that hills and make a photo shoot? Is there any set of procedure I need to follow, like a proper procedure?
If you are into the plantation, if you want to shoot particularly going inside the plantations, you have to get the permission from the deputy director Annamalai Tiger Reserve.
Okay. So
Then you can
actually,
go.
Can we just write out a letter and hand
Yeah,
over
you can write out a letter, but now it's not possible until this lockdown is over.
Okay.
They are not giving permission to the people.
That's good. That's good. Okay. So like, so that's the basic principle. Whether it's related to Annamalai or everywhere.
Yeah,
where
Annamalai
it's
Tiger
about-
Reserve has 3 ranges: Valparai,
Hmm.
Udumalpet, and Pollachi.
Annamalai, Udumalai, and Pollachi.
Yeah, 3 ranges. In this, you can find different terrains. Where Udulpet is a deciduous forest, while Valparai is a evergreen forest.
That's great.
If you want to see elephants, you have to come to Annamalai Tiger Reserve of Udumalpet range. If you want to shoot birds, a lot of birds, you can go to Valparai. Valparai is promising for a lot of birds. If you go there, you can. If you stay at 2 days, you can shoot around 45 to 50 species.
That's great. So, guys, if you have any questions, you can drop it in the chat box, and Ramana will be answering at the last 5 to 10 minutes of the session. So, just keep it in the bay in the chat box. Yeah. So, shall continue talking about the. We have discussed the major conceptual things which are necessary for bird photography. We just further move on to the technical part in shooting birds. Like, what are the gears should be used, and what do you feel is the appropriate lens for bird photography?
Appropriate lens above 300 mm. 300. Ideal is 500.
Okay.
Currently I use a 70 Mark 1 and 400 5.6 lens.
5.6. Okay. So
I feel satisfied with that lens. I can get such a close shot. Yeah, we had a discussion in our group just a few minutes before starting our session, which is how could we get a close-up shot. Yeah, we had a discussion in our group. They were asking which lens should be the ideal lens. Yeah, above 300 mm, it's ideal lens. If you have 70 mm, no, some birds are very sensitive. Yeah, flamingos, especially you can tell flamingos. If you keep approaching them, you can see them moving backwards.
Okay. So, is there a particular differentiation between shooting birds and action and the gear you use for shooting birds at stagnant?
Like, yeah, if it's just a simple. If you want stationary, stationary and action, you have for action you need a higher shutter speed. That's all the difference. Nothing
related to gear. Everything is same.
Everything is same.
Okay.
For actions, you need a high speed shutter speed.
So, how do you plan according? Like, for example, let us take you're in Annamalai and you want to shoot birds. You're having your camera, and how will be your approach towards it? Like, you keep a particular shutter speed and particular ISO and wait for the bird to fly away, or how will it? How is it done actually?
If it's just observe the birds. I used to observe the birds. I used to for if I'm seeing the for the first time for a record shot, I will take a shot first.
Okay. Then
then I would wait to come for a open branch, open perch, open branch. It's wait for it to come. Then I used to click it.
Okay. So if you want to capture it in action, you track the bird from its stagnant position of a branch, and you fix the focus there, and you track it, and you capture the perfect moment. Is it done that way?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. If you know the bird behavior, you can definitely get some great shots. For action shots,
great. So actually, basically, like when you're focused on a bird on a branch, you will get a ratio of 3:4, like very close to the bird. But if you want to take the action shot of that bird, you must know where the bird goes next, right? Like whether it's
it's
at the top or how
we
do you
have to.
identify it?
It's basically on guessing.
On guess.
Basically
So
in guessing and field practice.
field practice, which is necessary.
Yes,
Great.
which is very much.
So yeah, so when we take a bird's picture, birds are colorful, no doubt on that. And the second thing is a background. So having a red bird with a red background is not very good. But how do you fix your background? Because we want a contrary background, right, in order to enhance the bird.
If we want to get a good background, we have to wait the bird for. If we select a background, we have fixed this as a background. We have to wait the bird to come there.
Okay.
If we get a nice green background, we have to wait the bird to sit on that particular perch. We have to wait the birds to come there.
Okay, so that way only we can make a good background, right?
Good background, yes.
Yeah, great. So I heard a popular saying that like if I'm gonna shoot a portrait, I keep my focus on the eyes. If I'm gonna shoot a tiger, again I keep my focus on the eyes. But if I'm gonna shoot birds, like big birds and all, I will keep my focus on the beaks. Is it true? Is it true? Do you keep the focus on the beak or do you still focus on the eyes?
For hornbills, I used to focus on the casque. It's like a nose for them.
Okay.
Because if by using the 400 prime lens, most of the times the casque would get out of focus for me. In initial days, I got a lot of out of focus. Then I was looking where to focus. Then I used to focus at the casque of the bird.
Okay. So that way we can attain a perfect focus of the entire face.
For hornbills, I used to focus on the casque of the bird.
For rest of the birds, we can use the eye.
Yeah, getting eye levels, we can get a nice background also. Going down the ground, we have to lay. If we want to get the eye level of the water bird, we have to lay down the ground.
Okay, that's great. So, like focusing on the beak is very much important for hornbill.
Yeah.
In order to get the complete focus.
Yeah, the upper part of the beak.
Upper part of the beak to be
precise. Yeah, it's casque. It's called as casque.
Okay. So, there's one question in the chat box about the focusing of the birds. How do you get what is it? How do you make the balance between autofocus and manual? As birds' movement are so unpredictable. How do you attain the focus?
It's very difficult to focus between peaks of branches.
Okay.
It's very difficult at that times. If it's big birds, they move very slowly. But if it's small birds like flycatchers, they move a lot. So that you have to wait for them to come out. So at that time, you cannot use that manual focus. For hornbills, we can use manual focus because it moves slowly, and it's a big bird. We can get some focus on it in between branches. But small birds like flycatchers, it's very difficult to focus manually in between branches and branches. It's a difficult task.
Okay. So the basic difference is that when it's a huge bird, you go with the autofocus. When it's a small bird, you can go with the birds which can move slower. We can use.
My preference is go with autofocus or wait the bird to come out.
Okay.
Wait for the bird to come out because in between branches it won't be looking nice. The picture won't be nice.
We must have a clear foreground before the bird, not any kind of interruption.
Yeah.
Great. So one common question: is it possible to shoot birds with mobile?
Mobile, yeah, we can shoot, but it's like a minimalistic. If it's a big bird, like some raptors or hornbills, if it's a big bird, we can see that birds clearly. But if it's a small birds like sparrows, flycatchers, it's difficult to see them.
Okay.
They would see if we crop also, we won't get that such quality. Exactly.
So when you use a high shutter speed, you also face with an high ISO rate also, right? So you get a
Yeah.
lot of noise bombarded in the
Um,
image. How do you avoid it?
I usually keep my ISO. Basically, bird photography is done at early mornings and evenings. I used to
Okay.
keep my ISO in auto range between 800 and 1600.
Mhm.
And I used to keep, as my focal length is 400, I used to keep my shutters in between 500 and 720.
Okay.
And that's my technique to shoot birds. And in post processing, I reduce the noise a little bit.
Okay. So talking about the post processing, is there any particular method you follow for post processing of birds? Because like every different genre of photography has different post processing techniques. Like what do you use for bird photography?
Basic adjustments like exposure, contrast, and I'm learning post processing now. Not much
Okay.
expert in post processing.
But
Basic,
your images in
basic.
your feed are they are already Fentafabless.
Thank you.
So if we see with editing, then it will move to the next level.
Yeah, there are some. If we take Sasjang, he's next level. He's something doing great. Sasjang is he's creating something amazing pictures. It is post processing.
Okay, great. So we'll move to another interesting subject. I've seen two images, a couple of images about the squirrel. So how do you catch a squirrel? What is the behavior of the squirrel?
If you take that squirrel, you can. It's very difficult to find them in open.
Hmm.
It used to move between the branches. Always you can find them between the at the top of the trees. You cannot find them between. If that, for example, if we take a tree of 20 meters height, you can find them above 12 to 15 meters in that range.
Okay.
At that time, you have for if it does not have food only, it comes down.
Hmm.
For most of the time, you can find them in that altitude, in that height only. Uh, if they have food on, if they want food, they come down. At that time, I click that photo.
Great. Okay. So is there any particular food we can keep so that we can attract the squirrel so that we can shoot from a distance?
That's not
Just
to be
an
done.
hack,
Yeah,
life
that's
hack.
not to be done in India. The people we are feeding monkeys that we see in roadside, that's not should be done. Because monkeys, yeah, we can take on monkeys. They are omnivores, but most of the people think it's a herbivore and they feed all the things. But monkeys have the nature to eat insects, barks, and leaves. But because of us humans, they have started eating only these packed foods given by us. We
Okay.
should not change it.
So it entirely affects the ecological system of
Yeah,
the
it's
particular species.
yeah. It's almost we have turned monkeys into beggars. In
Well
most
said.
places, yeah, most places.
100%. True that. We could find and everywhere in temples and all. Like
Uh,
we can find people feeding monkeys and all.
yeah.
So what is there any particular food we can feed to the birds? Like if at all I am in my home and I want to, I feel like I can feed some kind of birds in
Um,
my terrace.
you can
What do I
feed some
feed?
millets with that, which
Let's
attracts pigeons a lot.
pigeons. Okay.
Millets and even we people keep what we prepare for us for crows.
Hmm. At crows, they are
They
the
eat
king of the birds. It's like king of the birds. We'll
they
leave
eat
off crows
everything.
and we'll talk about other birds and all.
Yeah, other birds, millets is the best.
Well, it's for any bird, like whether it's a hummingbird
Any
or
yeah, hummingbirds. You cannot find hummingbirds in India. They belong to South America. Sunbirds you can
okay,
find them in India.
okay,
For sunbirds, if you grow uh, some plants like which has high smell, lot of smell, like
hmm.
hibiscus, rose, they are attracted very much to them
Is it
because they feed on
specifically
nectars.
smell or fragrance?
Uh, Fragrance, yeah, they are similar to honeybees. Sunbirds are similar to honeybees. They feed on nectar.
Mhm. So, what is a common prey for birds? Is it only insects or insects and worms?
If we take birds, there are some birds which eat only these millets,
Hmm.
and there are and crows there, and they eat everything. And some birds like raptors, they hunt and eat. And some are scavengers. And some birds are like a bee eaters, they eat only insects.
Okay.
It's the bird food classification.
Hmm. So the prominently three classifications. Great. So like I have not seen a bird sleeping. When do they really sleep? Or and when, where and when do they sleep actually?
You can find them in you can find morning time. If you see in owl morning time, it's basically it will sleep.
Okay.
Owl in morning times, you can find them sleeping, but they won't be much. You cannot say that's in a deep sleep.
Hmm.
They are and there is a myth, they say in morning times owl cannot see. Actually the problem of the owls is they cannot bear that much light, so that they keep their eyes closed during the morning time, and that's a myth. They cannot see in the morning.
Okay.
You can find birds sleeping. You can see babblers in your home garden sleeping. It's But it's difficult to locate them during night time. We can during night we don't also have a proper vision. It's a difficult task to locate them.
Okay. So do these hornbills have an separate nest for them, or just sleeps on the branches?
It's interesting part. They used to nest in cavities in the tree.
Okay.
They used
Like
to
big holes.
yeah, big holes. If they select the hole which is suitable for them, the female goes inside and prepare a nest materials with its feathers.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh.
And it's cover something some mud like substance. The hole is covered by the mud like substance, and there is a particular small hole where the male bird feeds them from outside. Even the even snakes are afraid for getting to the hole because of the mud like substance are made of a poisonous substance.
Mm.
Until the chicks grow, the male feeds them from the outside.
Okay. Great. So one important fact to note is that hornbill builds its own home with its own feathers.
Yeah, makes nest with its own feathers.
Yeah. Do any other bird have this kind of character
No.
other than hornbill? Okay, so that's why hornbill is like at the top. It builds its
Yeah,
own home with its own feathers.
it's a monogamous pairs.
Hmm.
It's
Okay, I would like.
they are pairs for lifetime.
As you mentioned about the male and female hornbills, I would like to stop you there to post a question. How do you differentiate on male and female hornbill?
Yeah, male hornbill, the eye is red color, and the female, the eye is white color.
Very simple. That's it. No other
It's very simple.
differences.
No other difference. It's the easy way.
Okay. So red is for male, and white is for female.
White is for female. Yes.
Okay. Is it common to all other birds or specifically hornbill?
This is specific of hornbills. If we take crow, some male crows, you can see size difference, slight size difference.
Okay. So male will be bigger and
Not very
small.
lightly noticeable.
Okay.
Slight difference. For crows, you can identify.
What if we take with dove and all?
Dove, sorry, I don't know. I don't know much in identifying that. And most of the birds, it's difficult to identify them. Mostly, you can in lot of birds you can identify the colors. Peacock is the best example. Peacock and Malabar Trangan, the red is male is very attractive with red colors, and the female is in gray color.
Mm-hmm. Great. So is there any difference in sound between male and female?
No, not much difference.
Not different. Both sound similar, right?
Both sounds same. Like hornbills say like a tok, like that sound.
Okay.
You can locate the hornbills easily with that sound. You can
Okay.
hear it about 5 kilometers.
Wow. So
Mm,
it's that much audible.
that much audible.
Great, great, great. Okay, we'll just move on to a few questions in the chat box over here.
Okay.
And can we arrange photo walk now in COVID situation in Animal? Is it possible?
No, now
Photo
it's
walk at
not.
Animal.
Now it's not preferable.
Hmm. Yeah.
No.
So, how do you go to forest to shoot? Do you have a group of people, or how do you approach the forest officials to get permission?
For in Anamali Tiger Reserve, I have some ecotourism activities in Top Slip.
Okay.
Top Slip is it's a tourism spot which all might know. You can take trekking as 3 hours or 5 hours. They take around along the forest. By the time you can spot the birds.
Off-road trekking kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of off-road trekking.
What I do is I used to go to Valpare, randomly roam around Valpare, just to wait at the edges of the roads and click the birds.
Great. Okay. So I hope you have answered that question. And the next one is that what are the autofocus modes you use to get birds in focus?
Single point. Mostly single point AF.
Single point AF.
Yeah.
Great. So that's the best one you can.
Yeah, 90% I use that.
Okay.
During if I am planning for a flight set, I use that single pointed 4 assist points.
Okay.
For flight sets, I use that.
So I have a personal question. Like we do birds photography either in the like in the golden hour in the morning or golden hour in the evening. If it's winter, it's completely blue. So how do you balance with match with the white balance of that particular situation and the photograph? How important is white balance in bird photography?
I usually shoot in raw and auto mode. I used to keep my white balance in auto. I used to correct that in post processing. If I plan for something like silhouettes or that I need that warmer tone or cold tone, I used to change to manual white balance, set in Kelvin temperature.
Okay,
that's what
so
I
it
do.
Totally depends upon our own perceptions.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you also elaborate on the gears you use? As you said earlier, is there any gears you use apart from that?
No, Nikon Coolpix B600 and Canon 70 Mark 1 and 400 f5.6 lens. And I use a Olympus 18-40 binoculars.
Okay. So binoculars also important.
Yeah, binoculars is very much important.
How much does a binocular cost?
Mine cost around 4,000.
Okay.
Yeah, it's starting is 4,000. You can get binoculars Nikon from 5,000, I think so.
Okay. So obtaining an quality binoculars is also important.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the ideal binocular that I can buy? Like I said now, you can go with.
Ideal binoculars 8x40. It's the magnification and zoom range. 8x40. It's ideal for all the light conditions.
Great. Hope that answered Lokesh Prakash questions. So I would like to pose you two questions. The first one is that what are the places you suggest in Tamil Nadu for bird photography, or specifically in Chennai? And the second one is what is the best hour to choose photograph birds?
Sorry, second question, please again.
What is the best time to photograph birds?
Best time to photograph mornings and evenings. If you are going for raptors by morning 9:30 to afternoon 3. It's the best time.
Okay.
Midday is the best time for raptors. You can find them soaring around the sun mid afternoons in the sky.
Okay.
For other birds, it's morning is the best time. Morning and evening.
Morning and evening. Great. So evening we can plan for silhouettes as well. Chill out.
Sorry.
Yeah. So No, I was just meaning in the evening is it's better to shoot silhouettes, right?
Yeah,
Silhouette kind of shot.
especially during this time, it's best to shoot silhouettes during this February March. It's
February,
best,
March.
and the light is very good to shoot silhouettes.
Great, great. So I posted the first question as well. Like, what are the best places to shoot birds in Tamil Nadu?
Birds in Tamil Nadu, the best places. First, let me tell in Chennai, Pallikarnai, Solingnallur, Pulicat.
Solingnallur.
Pulicat is one of the
Pulicat
best.
Lake.
And Chennai outskirts there for the Raptors.
Okay.
It goes nearby Kanjipuram.
Great. And
That's the
in
best.
overall Tamil Nadu?
Overall, Tamil Nadu, Nilgiris is best for both birds and animals. If you are going for birds, Nilgiris, Kunnur Sims Park is one of the best. You can find a lot of Sims Park. You can find a lot of flycatchers there. And Mashinakudi is best place for both birds and animals.
Okay. That's. And we have a question in the chat box from yeah.
And in Anamalai Tiger Reserve, Valpara is one of the best place. I can tell Valpara is the best place in Tamil Nadu also. It's it's an untouched place.
If you are planning for any kind of bird photo trips, you must first visit Anamalai. Because you get different kind of shots which are different. You can get to see about different species of birds which are not captured and posted on Instagram. So definitely try out Anamalai, and I hope you can also contact Ramana for any kind of guidance over there, and he will get you all that done. And we have one question from Zabnishwaran. Can you tell us what types of species of animals and birds are found in Anamalai and Valparai specifically, and tell us in Tamil. You can just go with Tamil. What are the species you find in Anamalai?
Yes, Sabri will கண்டிப்பா உன்னை கூட்டிட்டு போறேன். Leopards have been sighted. Tigers are there, but not sighted much recently. The pug marks and scats have been collected. I have collected the pug marks and scats last survey, last December of tiger. Bear, civet cats.
Okay.
And birds you can find you can find around more than 200 species.
That's quite a lot number. Out of 300 species in Tamil Nadu, we can find 200 species of birds in Anamalai itself. That's the best place. So before we concluding, we would like to see of your best images. So you just we request you to share your screen and show us images of your hornbills and all. We are very much looking forward to see them.
Yeah, hornbills I will share now.
Yeah, sure. So you said there are 7 to 8 types of hornbills, right? Like how many have you captured till now?
Just I have captured all the 4 types of hornbills in South India.
Okay.
We have hornbill species endemic to Andamans, North Andaman hornbill.
Okay.
That's my dream hornbill to capture after the Great Indian Hornbill. I love this is the Great Indian Hornbill female. You can see the white eye.
Okay.
Here. This is the Cask-like region. I used to focus at this place.
Okay.
Where I have kept my cursor.
Yeah, just above the beak, right?
Yeah, just above the beak. This is the Cask region. I used to focus here.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah, he was telling which was the ideal lens for taking birds. I just took with this 55-50 lens. This hornbill was sitting just above my head. The place where I stayed and where this hornbill was present was very near.
Okay.
I just took this photo just after waking up. I just hear this call of this hornbill. I came out and saw. Just I hear that sound. and came out and took this.
Great. Okay. Any other mazes of hornbill or some other birds we could see that?
Yeah. Oops. This is the hornbill. Hello.
Yeah. I wait here.
Uh, it's a mother and son. This is the mother hornbill. This is
Okay.
this is its son.
Little one. Okay.
Almost enjoyed it. It was feeding the hornbill for more than an hour. You asked whether the hornbill should sleep. I witnessed for the first time sleeping by seeing them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rare side, right? Like I really doubt that whether any of them would have seen birds sleeping. We could see like dog sleeps, cats sleeping, and all.
Yeah, I took this picture while it's sleeping. It was sleeping.
Okay, it is sleeping.
It's the same mother and son.
Okay.
It's another hornbill. I made leaves as a foreground. Yeah, I took this.
Okay.
I took this shot with a manual focus. At this time, actually, during while I was taking this, it was my camera was focusing these leaves, and then I switched it to manual and took this shot.
Okay.
And
so
this is
a few times autofocus don't work. We have to switch to manual focus.
Yeah. And this is crested serpent eagle, changeable hawk eagle. Sorry.
Okay.
Um,
Why? Spell out the name again.
Changeable hawk eagle.
Why is it like that? Is there any specific reason behind it?
No specific reason.
Okay, but it's something that feels like changeable. Great. Okay.
Yeah, I have seen both. I think because of the hair crest.
Okay.
I have seen this bird without this crest also. I think for that reason.
Okay, might be.
Might be. And this is Sikra. This is a common raptor you can find everywhere.
Okay.
And this is one of my favorite shot. This elephant.
Okay.
This I took in Kabini.
Kabini. Okay.
You cannot find a calf like this alone. It's always surrounded by its mother and relative elephants. You cannot. It's very difficult to get a shot like this.
Exactly.
Finding an elephant calf, especially alone from the group. This shot I took before 15 days. I have to post process a lot. I have been touched at files. And this is a male hornbill. You can find the eyes red color.
Yeah, very good. That's majestic.
This is blue tiger butterflies.
Blue tiger butterflies. Okay.
Yeah. This happened for the first time, and due to lockdown, I was able to explore by nearby surroundings.
Okay.
When as the lake was lake, I have a lake near my home. It's about 2 kilometers. It was during last year's mid-August, September. The lake was completely dry, and it was the butterfly migratory seasons. Around 5,000 butterflies were I found around 5,000 butterflies in this place.
Okay.
For more than 3 days, it was here. They were migrating from Eastern Ghats to Western Ghats.
Okay, so they stay here for 3 days.
Yeah, they stayed at my place for 3 days.
Okay. So this is the first time I'm hearing that butterflies also migrate. I know birds migrate.
During southeast monsoon, the butterflies migrate from here to Eastern Ghats, Western Ghats to Eastern Ghats. And during northeast monsoon, they migrate from Eastern Ghats to Western Ghats.
Okay.
They are good indicators of the monsoon. And this is an orange minivet with the grasshopper kill.
Okay. Is it eating an insect?
Yeah, it ate that insect. Yeah, it's eating. You have to. I was talking about the branches like this only.
Okay.
You have to wait for the bird to come out to an open place to get a nice picture. As it was on a hunting sequence, I took this picture.
Okay, done. Great.
And it's a still out of hornbill couples.
Wow.
This one
Beautiful.
I took at Nelliyambadi.
Nelliyambadi rail station,
It's
Kerala.
Kerala.
Palakkad district.
Yeah. It's,
Okay.
finding hornbill in Nelliyambadi is very easier than finding them in Valparai.
Thanks for the take. Actually, I visited Nelliyambadi the last year, but I didn't knew that I could capture hornbills there.
Yeah, when I went there recently, I just explore. I just explored recently only Nelliyambadi. I went
Okay.
last December. Yeah, December I went there.
Okay.
I got few photographers. They said there were hundreds of hornbills before previous weeks at the same place.
Okay. Great.
I have shown the, just a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, we got a question in the comment section from Prakash. Can you suggest some good cameras for beginners for shooting birds and animals? Like exactly that was my next question. I was about to post to Ramna, and you got it in the best way. So, what do you suggest, Ramna? Like, what is the best camera one can start bird photography?
Best one that we can afford, but I would suggest to good look for cameras which has a good ISO performance.
Okay. So basically, noise is an important factor.
Yeah, because you shoot at times you shoot at high ISOs like 6400.
Mm-hmm.
At that time we cannot do if we shoot it a beginner camera like a 1500D with a 6400 ISO, we won't get any details from that image. Only grains we can get from that.
Mm-hmm.
And a good AF system also.
Okay.
That would be a good setup.
Okay, so which one do you prefer, whether Canon, Sony, or Nikon is best for bird photography? Your personal favorite? I know it's a contrary question.
It's a controversy question, but I love shooting with Canon. Hello.
Yeah. Because like nowadays most of the wildlife photographers prefer Sony than these two brands. So I thought for bird photography also is it better. So Canon is best, right?
I like very much the autofocus system of the Sony, but I felt the menu system is too confusing.
Complicated. Okay.
We have to toggle a lot to find a particular one.
Okay. So the answer for that question is that like you can go with any camera with a 300 plus, but make sure that that camera performs well at high ISO rate.
Yeah, high ISO rate and a good autofocus system.
Exactly. Two major factors considerable for before buying an camera for bird photography. I hope that answered your question. And I guess we are end of the session. We can conclude with one question that I want to pose to you, and we'll conclude with that. So, what are the basic things that a common human being? Because we see nowadays India had a variety, like large diversity of birds and species in India, but nowadays these birds are getting extinct. There are numerous reasons like birds are getting hunted due to pollution or like maybe water pollution or somewhere the other these birds are getting extinct. Uh, what are the ways that a common human being of a society, a responsible society, can do to save these birds? What do you think? What are the ways he can do?
Not disturbing them.
Not disturbing them.
Not disturbing them. Even it's fit for animals also, like mammals like elephant. And not polluting their environment.
Okay.
If you see with Pallikaranai marshland, it's a big area, but the size has reduced a lot. Habitat loss is a very big danger for the birds, especially hornbills. They live only in solar forest. They live in an altitude above minimum 2000 meter. Loss of if we lose solar forest, we are sure we will be losing some native trees because of losing hornbills, because they are responsible for the spread of seeds in solar forest.
So, three main factors to be considered that a responsible citizen can do to save these birds. The first one is not to enter their
Habitat.
hosts, right? Habitat, exactly. So we should not disturb their lifestyle. And the second is this: we should not pollute our environment. And the third thing is that know about your birds, like what are the species, what are the extendable species, or what are the species which are only available in India and not elsewhere in the world.
Basically, knowing about the local birds, what we have around our house or something like that.
Exactly. So these are the primary factors to be considered, and it is second. These are the primary factors. It is only secondary to feed birds or keep water at your terrace or something. So these are secondary. First, don't disturb their habitat. Second one is that don't pollute the environment, and the number three is that have a basic knowledge about a bird, like what do they do, where do they live, and why are they here. So these are the basic three things that has to be followed by a responsible citizen. It will not change the entire biological cycle, but it can contribute to the smallest of the well-being of that particular bird. So with this good note and request, I guess we are here with the end of the session. And thank you, Ramana, for this wonderful session. We had a lot of knowledge sharing happened, and we got a lot to learn about the hornbills. So that next time we see a hornbill, we'll definitely remember you and the ways which we can capture the hornbills. And definitely, we are looking forward to plan a photo tour to Animalai. Hope you will lead us there,
Yeah, sure.
getting all this permission, the team Madras photo bloggers and all. And we'll definitely make a plan after this COVID when things get normal. We'll definitely plan a photo to Animalai exclusively for shooting birds.
Yeah,
We'll
sure.
do it. We are very much looking forward for that. And thank you, audience. You've been great today. And do you have something to tell about Ramana?
No, nothing.
Great. Hope it happens soon. Exactly, Prakash.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm also
looking
waiting
forward.
to do birding with you guys.
Sure. Thank you for joining our session. Sure. Definitely, Ramana. We'll meet there at Animalai sometime, maybe in upcoming months somewhere. So, thank you so much. And guys, thank you so much for joining. So this is the fourth live session. It was fantastic. We'll meet in the next live session, MPP members talk in the next weekend. Until then, signing off. Vishnu from Medas Photo Bloggers. Bye bye. Good night.